From rare hand-colored portraits of forgotten soldiers to haunting color views of battlefields and everyday life, these images open a window to history like never before. Each frame, carefully colorized or captured in early processes, brings the past vividly back to life. Welcome to Vintage Lens. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a journey into history. Unidentified African American soldier in Union uniform. Year 1863. A 6th plate tintype, hand-colored, showing an African American soldier posed in uniform against a painted backdrop. The image is from the Lillienquist family Civil War collection and is a rare, intimate portrait that preserves details of uniform, insignia, and facial expression in color tinting added in the 19th century. Captain William W. Cosby, Confederate officer. Year 1861, half-plate ambrotype portrait hand-colored to emphasize uniform and facial tones. Part of the Lillienquist collection, this is a finely preserved Confederate officer portrait, studio ambrotype, showing original 19th century coloring techniques used to bring depth and realism to monochrome photography. A woman wearing kimono, Japan. Year 1891. A delicately hand-colored studio albumen print of a Japanese woman in kimono, an example of the Meiji-era costume view trade photographs sold to Western visitors. The subtle hand tinting on skin, kimono, and props gives a vivid sense of texture and pattern from late 19th century Japan. Medici Fountain, Luxembourg Gardens, Paris. Year 1890s. A photomechanical photochrome, a popular 1890s color printing technique, showing the Medici Fountain in the Jardin du Luxembourg. Photochromes mimic true color and were widely distributed as richly colored views. This one captures Parisian atmosphere and late Victorian color tastes. Mulberry Street, New York City. Year 1890s. A bustling Mulberry Street street scene rendered as a photochrome print. Detroit Publishing Company. The hand-applied color lithographic process creates saturated postcard-style color. The image preserves 1890s dress, street life, and the immigrant neighborhoods of Lower Manhattan. View of the Summer Palace, Yuanming Yuan, Peking. Year 1860. Felice Beato photographed the burned Summer Palace in 1860. Many of his albumen prints were then hand-colored by studio colorists. This image records the aftermath of the Second Opium War and is historically important. The hand-tinting on some prints adds depth to the damaged architecture and landscape. Sergei Prokudin-Gorsky, View, Onion Domes and Towers, Moscow. Year 1909. Prokudin-Gorsky's 3-plate color composites bring late Imperial Russia to life, rich dyes on church domes, textiles, and street scenes. This type of view highlights the saturated domes and ornamental detail that make his work so historically valuable. Grand Canyon of Arizona. Late 19th century. A dramatic Western landscape issued as a photochrome print, part of the Detroit Publishing Company / photochrome collection. These chromolithograph-like prints made American national landscapes, Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, etc., widely visible in rich color at the century's turn. Our painter, Felice Beato, Smith College. Year 1868. An albumen print hand-colored in Beato's studio, often colored by Japanese watercolorists. Our Painter is a classic example of how 19th century photographers combined Western camera work with local colorists to produce vivid souvenir photographs for international markets, an authentic 1860s hand-colored portrait. Peasant Girls, Sergei M. Prokudin-Gorsky. Year 1909. Three young Russian peasant women stand in front of a traditional wooden izba holding bowls of berries. This is one of Prokudin-Gorsky's celebrated three-plate color composites documenting rural life across the Russian Empire. The vivid, slightly hallucinatory hues give an immediate sense of everyday clothing and material culture before World War I. The Library of Congress hosts the original digital rendering and high-resolution files. Laitières, Milkmaids, Place Drouet d'Erlon, Reims. Year 1917. An intimate autochrome of milkmaids at a busy Reims square during World War I-era France. The image is part of Albert Kahn's famed Archives de la Planète, carefully composed, richly textured color photos that record daily life and city streets while the war reshaped Europe. The Albert Kahn site offers full captions and reused details. German military camp, Trench. Year 1915. Hans Hildenbrand, the best-known German autochrome war photographer, produced rare color views of life behind the front lines, posed soldiers, camps, and ruined villages. This image shows a calm, staged moment, typical because early color required long exposures, that highlights uniforms, field gear, and the everyday landscape of the Western Front in color. Hot air balloons at the Grand Palais. Year 1909, Léon Gimpel's autochromes of the early aviation exhibitions are among the earliest press-use color pictures. Here, balloons and crowds under the Grand Palais's glass roof are rendered in delicate, slightly muted color. Gimpel experimented to shorten exposures and capture lively public events. These images are a time capsule of Belle Époque public spectacle. Verdun, battlefield ruins, Jules Gervais Courtellemont. Year 1916. Gervais Courtellemont, a major French autochrome photographer, made color records of frontline ruins and ceremonies. This autochrome shows the battered landscape around Verdun with a haunting palette that contrasts rubble, scorched stone, and the muted color of soldiers' clothing. Bridgeman and museum partners host high-res scans and usage info. Seed Cellars, Pristine. Year 1913. A bright street scene from Pristina in 1913. Seed vendors and local dress captured in natural color. Albert Kahn's teams traveled the Balkans in 1913, and these autochromes preserve local costume and market life in brilliant, often downloadable digital scans on the museum portal. UK camp before D-Day. Year 1944, Life magazine's color photographer Frank Churchill shot many pre-invasion scenes in England and the continent. Soldiers checking gear, mess lines, and training in the English countryside. These Kodachrome images, often unpublished at the time, bring the mobilization and human scale of the Normandy operation vividly to life in color. Fabric merchants in the Registan, Samarkand. Year 1910. Prokudin-Gorsky documented Central Asia with saturated composites of market scenes, architecture, and rugs. This frame shows stallholders and richly patterned textiles in front of the Registan, a rare, authentic color witness to Timbuktu-like markets of Imperial Russia's southern territories. High-res digital renderings are available on the LOC site. Starry Most, Old Bridge, Mostar. Year 1913. An autochrome view of the Ottoman-era bridge at Mostar. The photo records the bridge's form and the river setting in period color decades before its 1990s destruction. Albert Kahn's photographers deliberately shot monuments and everyday life, giving historians a vivid color reference for buildings and urban scenes that later changed drastically. Niagara Falls, view from the Steel Arch Bridge. Year 1898. A dramatic, late 19th century photochrome print showing visitors and the mist of Niagara from the Steel Arch Bridge. This colorized view exemplifies the Detroit/Photoglob photochrome work that made tourist vistas widely available in vibrant tones. The print captures both the scale of the falls and the Victorian leisure culture around major natural sites. Canyon of Eagle River, West Entrance, Colorado. Year 1899. A richly colorized western landscape photochrome that shows the rugged canyon walls and a narrow riverbed, part of the Library of Congress photochrome series documenting American scenery. The hand-tinted photochrome effect emphasizes geological texture and the late 19th century appetite for dramatic western views. Cathedral Spires, Garden of the Gods, Colorado. Year 1890s. This photochrome print highlights the jagged sandstone spires of Garden of the Gods, composed and colorized for maximum pictorial impact. The image became part of the popular visual iconography of the American West, used in postcards and albums. It's a classic example of 1890s colorized landscape tourism imagery. Eiffel Tower and the Trocadero. Year 1890. A bright, late 19th century photochrome of the Eiffel Tower with the Trocadero Gardens, produced in the heyday of World's Fair imagery. Photochrome prints like this one, made from black and white negatives and chemically colorized, helped spread images of Paris's new icon across Europe and America. Scenes of the Great Red River Raft. Year 1873. A hand-colored albumin print that documents the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers' 1873 efforts to clear the massive Red River log raft, a real engineering/hydraulic event of the era. The subtle hand tinting highlights water, vessel details, and helped commercialize documentary engineering photography for reports and exhibitions. Punishment of the Kung. Year 1870. A hand-colored carte de visite size albumin print showing a public punishment, the cangue, in 19th century China. Attributed to John Thomson, it was colored to make ethnographic and travel images more lifelike for Western audiences. The museum page includes description and image download options. Curio Store, Kusakabe, Kimbei style. Year 1870s, a high-quality hand-colored albumin print showing a Japanese curio antique shop interior or street curio scene. Japanese hand-tinted studio photographs for the export market were widely produced in the late 19th century, and this Getty object page gives catalog details and image access. Taj Mahal, Agra. Year 1862. Samuel Bourne's elegant albumin photographs of Indian monuments include multiple views of the Taj Mahal. This museum record, Minneapolis Institute of Art, documents Bourne's mid-19th century photographic surveys. Many prints were later hand-tinted or colorized for albums and exhibitions. Caen, Abeille aux Hommes. Year 1890. A late 19th century European architectural view from the LOC's large photochrome collection, Photoglob/Detroit Publishing. Photochromes from the 1890s are excellent examples of mechanically produced, colorized photographic prints used to illustrate travel and guidebooks. This Caen Abbey view shows the technique applied to historic European architecture. Blue Tree, Garden, Funchal, Madeira. Year 1903, an early autochrome by pioneering amateur color photographer Sarah Angelina Ackland, taken on her Madeira trip. The image shows the saturated, painterly look of autochrome grain, vibrant foliage and garden details that make early color photography feel surprisingly modern. Portrait of a Fisher Folk by Olive Edis. Year 1918. Mary Olive Edis, one of Britain's earliest professional autochrome photographers, captured fisherfolk during and after World War I for the Imperial War Museum. Her portraits, rendered in luminous early color, provide rare, intimate glimpses of working-class life, showcasing subtle tones in clothing, skin, and maritime settings.